Just on the injured folks, the good news was that Juan Thornhill was back out there. And so, on a limited basis, we gave him some work, and we're just going to gradually ramp him up. Frank Clark is ill. He's got a virus that he's trying to just shake here. So we're working with him on that. And then Chris Jones has a slight strain in his groin, along with Pringle with a hamstring. But really, for the most part, everybody got out there and worked and did a good job with it. Some of the guys that didn't, obviously, were Thornhill and Noddy. They were both out there today, and Keys was out there doing some work too. So. And then Hamilton was limited on the work that he did. So it was good to get the guys back out and going. Hard day of practice today, a lot of hours spent. I thought the guys did a nice job. The news of having fans in the stands, 22% capacity will be in there. And I just think that's a tremendous thing for our city here on moving forward. And just like the team and us getting together, there's going to be a certain discipline that's going to need to take place with the fans. I know they'll be ready to do that as they already have been. And then my hat goes off to Mark Donovan and his crew for the job they did of getting things prepared, checking with the specialists and experts that are involved with it, and really giving our fans an opportunity to, on a limited basis, to get themselves back in the stadium and continue to work ourselves to getting back to normalcy in due time here. So, but again, it's a good first step. So with that, time's yours.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
You're good, Adam. Thank you.
Good. Hey, I know you guys have known about a possible suspension for Bashaud Breeland, but the news came down today. I just wanted to ask you how you feel about your depth at corner to be able to handle that, and whether any young guys have caught your eye, and also just maybe elaborate a little bit on how good it is to have Thornhill back.
Yeah, so it's good to have Thornhill back. He was limited today, Adam, but he'll keep ramping up. He sure had a good couple workouts prior to being activated again there. So we think that's a plus. As far as the young corners, we'll see. Time will tell here as we go, but we've got a good nucleus of guys, and it'll all sort out here in the next couple of weeks, and everybody's working hard and getting a lot of reps, which is good, and we should be fine there.
Let's go to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. Good to see you. I know we ask you about these spectacular throws that your quarterback makes all the time, but I'm wondering if there's plays where sort of the ball's in the air and other people are kind of waiting with bated breath. Is it going to be caught? And you're sort of like the baseball hitter that knows it's over the fence and you know that it's going to be caught. Like, I'm just wondering if you've seen it enough to be able to predict it like that.
Yeah. Well, I have seen it, and my advantage is I know where the guys are going and kind of what the secondary is doing. So I can normally tell when it leaves his hand whether it's good or bad, and I trust him because he's got tremendous vision. And he makes good decisions. So he's not going to do something to hurt the team by throwing interceptions. I mean, that's just not his deal. So he when he moves, he's aware of what's going on, what the situation is of the game, which all become important, down and distance, and obviously field position. Time's yours. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Let's go to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. When you guys when you talked with Brett and his group about this offseason, it seems like to get this roster back, it required cooperation from the players as well, at least a few guys, especially financially. What gave you guys confidence you would get that cooperation? What do you feel like it reveals about your group that you did?
Yeah, well, it's a good thing that we were able to get them back. You never know going into the offseason how that's going to work out. But obviously guys wanted to be here, but at the same time, Clark Hunt gave Brett the opportunity to go get the guys, and I thought that was, that was important. And Brett and his crew, I thought, just did a heck of a job with it. And, you know, and then there's a want to. The guys, they want to be here, and they know they have an opportunity to, with hard work and working through the process, to be a good football team.
Let's go to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, I'm curious, you were talking about how you know the routes and where it's going, and maybe the throws are a little bit more predictable for you, but you're obviously, and I think you've discussed it, and Patrick's even said, you know, 2, 3, 4 years from now, when he really has it all down, you know, he in that one LeBron James show, we talked about being able to see the whole field and how Peyton Manning and Tom Brady have those reactions. But he is evolving, right, as he comes along. So do you have to evolve with him? Do you, like, instead of maybe a play that has one option on where you want to go, do you have more, you know, more plays that give him more options and put more on him as he progresses?
Yeah. So I hate telling you this, but I'm not sure we have one play that has one option. So it's normally there's 3 of them, and anytime there's 3, it's you know, it obviously keeps pressure on the defense as long as you're reading it the right way, and normally is good versus just about everything. So you know, Pat's got a good feel on that. He reads quickly and accurately, and he's got a good listen. He's blessed with great vision. That's the thing I keep coming back to you with, is he sees, and he has a mind that is decisive with decision making. So, and you know, for the young guys out there, kids that are trying to be quarterbacks, nobody works harder at it. Nobody studies more than he does. So he's blessed with this, but he also works tremendously hard at the job.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Andy, I have 2 questions for you. Several guys have mentioned that even as you adjust this camp for to keep everybody safe, it's still a rigorous, fast-paced, you know, camp. I'm wondering, how do you feel like you've been able to sort of define camp and refine it so that guys always feel like they're working constantly during practice? And then secondly, because of your tight end situation right now, Nick Keiser's getting a lot of reps alongside Travis Kelce. This is his 2nd year in the system. Just what have you seen from him so far, that if he is asked to be in that role on opening night, that you guys feel comfortable with what he's given you?
Yeah, so Nick's doing a good job. He's getting better every day. He's a smart kid, tough kid. He's got a good mentor there with Trav, so he gets to see it done the right way. And so I'm asking all those guys, just try to get yourself better every day, work through it. We ask a lot out of that position, both in the run game and the pass game. And if you're not focused in every day that you come out and discipline, then you're going to take a step backwards. So they've done that. They've done a good job with it. Nick being one of them there, that's I think is really working hard at getting himself where he's one of the guys.
Let's go to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. Rick Gosselin wrote a piece this week making the case for Mike Holmgren for the Hall of Fame, and I know you're supportive of Mike going in. Just curious, you know, what would be your pitch to make for Mike being a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, he kind of raised me in the business of the National Football League. So I'd tell you, at the time, I go, man, I have a hard time believing anybody does it better. And now I've been a head coach for a couple of years, and I still feel the same way. I mean, he was phenomenal. The way he handled the players and management and us as coaches, I didn't think nobody that I've been around has done it better than he did. So he just had a good way about him. He's brilliant. And there's 2 of the 3 of them that are in the Hall of Fame. Right? That strong triangle that we had, Ron Wolf and Brett Favre, and we need the other part of that to really make it whole.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, a question about Mecole Hardman. He's somebody last year, and I know that play design is a good part of this, but just eye-popping, yards per reception, yards per target, and he's on a very talented team that only has 1 football. So what is the message to him as he continues to grow and maintaining maybe his desire to be a little bit more involved in the offense?
Yeah, well, he's coming in the right frame of mind. He worked his tail off in the off season. He's working hard now. He understands all that, but he keeps working and getting opportunities. He had a couple great snaps today, and listen, he was learning last year, and now it's fit in. But he's in a group that have guys that can play. D-Rob's another one that probably doesn't get the ball enough, right? But who's very worthy of it. But again, there, like you said, there is 1 ball, and they understand it, and we kind of check our egos at the door, we roll the best we can and keep it fast and furious. So that's how they've handled. But I've been pleased with McCole and how he's going about his job.
Let's go to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, welcome back from the break. Two quick questions here for you. As a follow-up to Nate's questions on the tight ends, obviously you've got Ricky Seals-Jones and Deion Yelder currently working off with the trainers. How comfortable are you with the current depth at tight end ahead of the regular season? And then lastly, it looks like you had Marcus Kemp out there today. I'm curious, what were the corresponding moves to bring Kemp back?
Yeah, so I'm okay with the tight end situation as long as we keep growing. And Herbie, about the break, that's almost as bad as me saying times yours twice, but that's okay. There's not much of a break yesterday, Herbie, unless you're counting lunch. I had lunch. That was good, right? So, but listen, Marcus, having him back is great. He's a great kid, and I'm so glad that he's back now because he was playing the best football he'd ever played since we've had him here when he got hurt, and it was a shame that happened, and now he's getting a chance to come back. It looks like he's worked his tail off. We worked him out yesterday, and he did a great job with it. So he needs to get himself into football shape as he goes, but he took some reps today and did a nice job with it, and we'll just see how it goes. But we need depth at that position. You know that there in the secondary because they do quite a little bit of running.
Looks like we've got 3 more hands up. Let's go Steve, Seren, and then Nate to close it out. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, good morning, Andy. With no preseason games, as you guys ramp up to full speed game-like situations, would you have a number of guys that are trying to go all out full speed to make the team? Is there a message, or will there be a message to keep your key guys safe?
Yeah, well, we always try to do that because you can be a great coach if you don't have your players. I mean, we're all in it together, so we try to keep bodies off the ground, do those things that are important, play hard and play fast, but try to, we're not taking cheap shots on each other. We're not doing that. We're trying to stay away from collisions on the back end, bodies on the ground, with the bigs and that. So, as long as, if you just watch our veterans practice, they kind of know how to do it. So I tell the young guys that, see how they do it. They're moving like crazy, but you don't see guys flopping around on the ground.
Let's go to Seren. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, I'm curious, kind of on your the subject of your secondary, Tyrann Mathieu and his ability to do so many things, to cover the slot, to play center field, to do all that. I'm just curious, for you as an offensive guy, when a player like that, what kind of challenges does it present? And with the conversation about Breland, how much does he help cover up when you are down a couple of guys? Just offensively, your view of it, but then defensively, maybe what he brings for Spags. Yeah, well, I mean, we're using Tyrann in a couple different spots, but he easily could play corner. Not that we're doing that, but he has that kind of coverage ability, right? So when a guy comes in to play that position outside, he knows exactly what that guy has to do to work in that spot, and he's able to communicate with him. And he does that quite a bit. I mean, you hear him out there talking, and he knows everything that's going on. He's got a full understanding of what Spags wants. He's really an extension of Spags on the field. And for Steve, that becomes so important to have that guy. And so he's able to kind of get everything right in the secondary. Plus, he's got great instincts at the safety position, nickel position. He just knows how to do that. And he has great anticipation, very, very football aware on things. So sharp kid.
Let's go to Nate to close it out. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Andy, just wanted to follow up. Over the years, just what have you identified that ensures that guys practice hard in training camp so that they can be prepared for opening night? Just what have you sort of found that makes sure you get the maximum effort for guys during training camp?
Yeah, well, first, Nate, I mean, normally if guys practice fast, they normally stay relatively healthy. I mean, it's when somebody's not doing that, and then somebody trips over somebody, falls down, and then you got a problem. I mean, that over the years, you see those things happen. So it's important that the guys are moving and trying to move at the same speed. And then it gets you prepared. We don't condition after practice. That's not what we're doing. We're not lining up and running sprints. So I ask them, listen, condition during practice. We'll keep you watered down so we're not playing the no water game. We try to keep them hydrated and ready to go. But we know in games you got to be ready. No more important than this year. I mean, you got to go into a game and without any pregame or a preseason game. So you got to keep your tempo up and get yourself sharp. And the guys believe that. So, they fly around. They remind each other, which is important. And so the coaches don't really have to do it. The players can give each other a heads up on, let's go. I mean, it's time to roll. You're a little tired. Let's go.
I just wanted to ask you a couple of things. First of all, how you feel camp is going for you so far, but also what was your thoughts when the Chiefs drafted a player at your position in the first round?
Competition breeds excellence. Camp going good for me so far. Year 2 for me. Here to get better in camp. Last year camp, my eyes are wide open. It's like deer in the headlights. So this year I know what to expect, and I can perfect my craft. Drafting Clyde was a great addition to the room. We needed somebody with a different type of talent. It just helps me work on my game, help other running backs work on their game.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Darwin. I know Dylan McCullough, especially talking to him last year during Super Bowl week, has always been a big fan of yours, has expressed that whenever you touch the football, it seems like you get better. Knowing that the Chiefs ended up drafting a running back, what was his message to you and your conversations like when you first got back here?
Keep working. I mean, that was the only thing he told me, keep working. Just keep working. Just last year, I was timid to the league itself. Feel me? I really didn't play my game or play Darwin Thompson's play. I didn't play up to my par. So this year, I'm just coming back, perfecting my craft and working.
Let's go to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Darwin, what's good, man? Hope you're doing well.
How you doing?
All right. Hey, what did you try to do while you're back in Tulsa to try to stay in shape for a little bit? And then, when you get back to camp, going along with Adam was saying, when you see a guy like Clyde, I know you guys got some similar interests with cars and everything. How's it just been the competition going on in the room and talking about everything that you guys get along with?
It's a cool competition because we all at one point was doubted in our career because we kind of share that same story. I'm glad to see a 5'8" running back get drafted in the first round. When I went back home, I got back to the nitty-gritty of my training. I was in Arizona being pampered a little too much. So when I went back home, I was working with my footwork with my pops, where it all started for me. And I think that prepared me most for this training camp. And I'm ready to work. I'm ready to show what I've been doing.
Let's go to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
When you mentioned, last year your eyes kind of being wide-eyed. What do you know now that you didn't know then? What are the things that, and maybe how much are you, giving some of that information to Clyde?
Definitely. You feel me? I like to keep the battlefields equal. So me and Clyde both on the battlefield. I want him to have a pistol and I'm going to have a pistol. And we're going to let the best man win. So I'm not too much of holding secrets or how I got better last year as a rookie from people. So I try to help them as much as I can. This year, I see the blitzes a lot better. I can recognize the disguises that the safeties put on as far as cap slots and things like that. The run game, I see a lot better. A lot over this offseason, I was watching and studying other running backs as far as their eyes and how they see the run game, 3 technique shades, and understanding fronts of a defense. I did a lot of studying this offseason. There was a lot of things I had to get better at for me to be the successful that I want to be in this league.
Let's go to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, what's up, Darwin? How are you, man?
Good, yourself?
Good. You're being considered a fantasy football sleeper. First of all, do you pay attention to that sort of thing? And if so, is it motivation for you at all? And do you feel like people sleep on your ability?
I mean, if they sleep, I need to wake them up. My job is just to do my job. I know what kind of player I am. I don't too much pay attention to fantasy. I heard about it. A lot of people say I'm a sleeper, this, that, and the other. I really don't know too much about fantasy. I might play it this year, though. But I told a lot of people that drafted me last year they should have cut me early. They see I wasn't high at the preseason. I wasn't hot. They should have cut me. But this year, I mean, go ahead, draft.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Darwin, I know a point of emphasis for you last year was pass pro. You touched upon it a little bit, and I just was wondering if you could elaborate where you are on pass protection at this point.
So it wasn't too much of actually picking up the blitz because I'm not afraid of contact. It was seeing and recognizing where the blitz is coming from.
Right.
Safeties are, as far as they roll in the sky, I mean, we got some of the best safeties in the game. Tyrann Mathieu disguised it real well. So me seeing and hearing practice, once we hit game time, I'll be able to see it. I mean, last year I feel like I couldn't even see above the line of scrimmage. The line or the O lineman was so big, and I didn't see linebackers and things like that. The game felt so fast. But now I'm in the film room and I see it. I see it every day. I watch film every day. So when I hit the field, boom, my eyes go there now. I can expect who's gonna come, what down and distance it is. I got tabs in my head every play for each play of what I'm gonna be looking at.
We've got two more. Let's go Sarin and then Nate to close us out. Go ahead, Sarin.
Darwin, to kind of follow up on what you were talking about the work you did in the offseason and everything, how much of the draft process, right? Not that it's wrong or anything, it's just kind of a necessary evil, but how much of the draft process just sucks up all your time and getting ready and doing all the things to get drafted, and all that time, is stuff that you just don't get to focus on these nuances that you're talking about, that it's just impossible for a rookie to be ready to go.
I think, for instance, last year I was much more training for the combine than I was for playing football. I didn't get to work on my jump cuts, my cuts. I wasn't confident in my ankles and my knees come season because all I was doing was running a 40 training for the combine. That's all you worried about is 40-yard dash. I'm running straight lines. But this offseason, I was able to focus on catching the ball, running downfield routes, the bread route, for example, cutting on my left ankle, cutting off my inside foot. Just unorthodox movements is what I've been working on. During the combine process, I wasn't able to do none of that. And I took full advantage of the extra time we had this year with the COVID stuff going on and worked on everything that I should have been my first year.
Let's go to Nate Taylor with the last one. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Darwin, I'm interested to get your thoughts on how much the postseason played a part as to understanding what it takes to play at such a high level for your training for this upcoming season, and how much do you feel like you're more prepared for opening night than you were a year ago?
Opening night a year ago, I was wide-eyed. Preseason is much different than regular season. You playing against the top percentage of the world, greatest athletes on that first game. Everybody's fired up. Everybody's amped up. Preseason, it's kind of like scrimmages. It's not really too much. I'm way more prepared because I know what to expect. I come out here with a different attitude. I come out here with the attitude I'm the king of the jungle. You just gotta build that alter ego once you hit the field. You hear the landlord, honey badger, Frank Clark, the shark. You got to build that attitude once you hit the field. It's me against the world. And that's what I hit the field with now. I got the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and guys like that. So it builds that extra confidence. I'm just trying to be the cherry on top of that Sunday.
Could you sense maybe some extra, I guess for lack of a better word, fuel last year at training camp when coming off the AFC Championship loss? And how would you compare and contrast just the vibe or mood at this year's camp?
No, I didn't really feel that last year. I feel like the work is pretty consistent. It actually feels like it's more ramped up this year, whether that's just guys eager to play because of COVID and not being able to have OTAs and stuff, or whether it's feeling the urgency of, what we need to do to come off as defending champs and knowing we're going to get everyone's best shot. But this year, guys are flying around. There's a lot of good competition. Obviously, you've got a stacked roster, so you're going against someone who is almost at the best of their position pretty much every play, so it makes things pretty difficult.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Mitch. I was wondering with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think we've asked you something similar before, but now you've had a couple days of padded practices with the new running back, and every running back's a little bit different. I was wondering if there's any insight into the differences maybe for blocking Clyde that you didn't previously have.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you which plays he was in and which he wasn't. Those guys rotate through, and we just kind of get locked in on our job. And I think the awesome thing that we've seen and why guys are always so successful in this offense is, with EB and with Coach McCullough, they're teaching them so detail-oriented with the backs and what to do. And so, it could be any one of however many backs we got on the roster. They're coming in. They're all being taught the same thing. The footwork's the same. It's consistent. It's the same timing. Because, our job's hard enough trying to, move guys and trying to figure out where the defense is and who we got to block. And then if you had to say, oh, Clyde's in on this one, we got to do this special difference, that just doesn't work. So that's not something that, we really focus on. We kind of do our job. Hope they make us look good, obviously. And the cool thing with him, and we all saw him in college, it's really awesome to watch and a lot of fun. And, typically in the first preseason game or two, you're able to kind of see those moves in real action, but obviously we aren't going to be able to see that this year. So it'll be fun to see it when we're able to, get to real football.
Go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Mitch, can you explain what you would normally try to work on and get the most out of in a traditional preseason type scheme, and how that can be transferred to a practice where, like you said, you're going up against, similar guys every day in practice? And then secondly, since the Super Bowl, what do you thought has been the most impressive thing that you've sort of seen from Patrick so far in terms of getting the team ready and maybe getting himself to the next level for this season?
Yeah, for training camp, I think you want to kind of keep doing what you do at a high level. You don't ever want to kind of lose your core and your base. That's something that whenever I talk to the young linemen, I got into a spell when I was young, like, hey, this guy does that, or this guy sets like this guy uses his hands this way, and I tried everything, and I wasn't very good with it, and I realized I need to figure out what works for me. And so you kind of want to make sure you're, going with the cooking analogy, but you got a nice chef's knife that you like, make sure that knife is nice and polished and sharp, and then you can start branching off and using other knives. And so, using different pass sets or different change-up sets and things of that nature. And that's where you really want to work and get comfortable with things that aren't your bread and butter, and kind of progress through camp and try to add, more tools. Because just like a defensive lineman, a guy who's only got one great pass rush, eventually you kind of figure it out. As a lineman, if you only got one pass set, eventually they kind of time it, they figure it out. So it's working to expand that, working out of your comfort zone, really honing in on that. And that's, to me, what, training camp's about. Is it's weirdly, it's the time to fail. We've heard Pat talk about being able to throw interceptions and knowing what the limits are and things of that nature. Same for us. We got to learn our limits. We got to know what works and what doesn't. And getting to Pat, we've seen, seems like he was all over the place this offseason. He's got a lot of obligations and everyone wants a piece of him, but he comes in, he's in phenomenal shape, slinging the ball around, tons of energy. We've got, keep stacking up those play calls, and he's getting them out with ease. And you can just tell that, wherever he's been, his mind's been in football, and he's coming looking really sharp, and it's exciting.
Go to Sarin Petra. Go ahead, Sarin.
Mitchell, I'm curious. Number one, the team lost, a couple offensive linemen, right, with the opt-out part of the equation, and now Eric Fisher has battled a concussion. Do you work any reps at all at left tackle? Number one, and even if you don't, how quickly could you get comfortable if in an emergency you had to do something like that? And then as a second question, I'm curious, just the guys in the trenches, right, are the ones that really have to go face mask to face mask, really have to get close. And I know everyone at the Chiefs are doing everything they can in practice to protect COVID-wise, but you're going to have to go head-to-head with other teams. I'm just curious what your mindset is and your security of how the safety is going to work on that.
To the first part, I don't take too many left side stuff, but it's always there. You never know in an emergency. If a fish goes down, the next tackle goes down, we're kind of left with five guys. Like, I always got to be ready to go to any position, really, to be honest. That's something that, as linemen, we always talk about understanding the concept of the play within the play, but that also goes to being able to play any different position. If a guy gets hurt, you got to switch sides. So you always got to be ready. And then in terms of, playing against other people, I think the idea, I know the Chiefs have done just a phenomenal job in terms of all the safety regulations, guys taking it serious, doing the right thing, in the building, outside the building. And so, I can only imagine all the other teams are doing similar. Across the league, it seems like the numbers are doing really well. Like you said, it's kind of inevitable that you're going to get face-to-face. There's going to be, breath particles that could be in your way. And I think you just got to, have trust in the other team and the other guy that they're doing the right thing. And, we're doing testing every day. We've seen that get extended. Seems like, hopefully soon enough, there's some, day of testing potentially for game situations. But I think you're just trusting that, the teams have done everything on their part, and we're doing everything individually, that when you do get to the game, you're going against a guy who's done his part.
Look, we've got one more. Let's go to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Mitchell. I'm curious, from your point of view as the right tackle and also along with the front five, you guys get to practice against Chris Jones and Frank Clark, two of the league's probably top pass rushers across the league here. But what sets them apart from other duos? And as a right tackle, what do you have to do to keep in mind when you know you've got an elite pass rusher on the other side of you?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I first think of with those guys is their get off, their quickness. I mean, Chris, for being as massive as he is, I mean, he's got as good of a get off as anybody. I mean, I know Aaron Donald's crazy quick too, but for Chris doing it at however much he weighs, it's insane. I mean, it's not really fair in practice. He tends to time that up pretty good on us, but it's that, and then also he's just so naturally powerful. I mean, you've seen throughout his career, guys say, "Oh, he plays too high. He plays too high." It's like, yeah, he can because he's still launching guys playing that high. Most guys need to get a lower pad level or better leverage or whatever. But he's so strong, he's able to do things from a different position than guys are used to. And so, if you're able to get that same bull rush, but you're not leaning quite as much, that allows you to work the hand moves. I mean, we've seen him be so deadly with those. And so he's just got freaky athleticism and strength combined with a really refined pass rush ability. And Frank, I mean, going against him, the thing is he just gets on you so fast in terms of stride length. He's just so explosive that those first two steps, it just feels like he's already by you essentially. And then from there, it's change of direction. I mean, he's able to spin. He's able to counter back inside. He's, a guy like that. People always kind of wonder, but he's not the hugest DN, but for a guy that size who's moving that fast with that much explosive ability, I mean, he's got a ton of power too. So you don't really know how to defend him because, he's by you. You overset that, he's inside, and you try to play both of that. You're on your heels, and he runs right through you. So you kind of feel helpless, honestly, and it's not the greatest feeling as a tackle.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about a play from today's practice. I think it was in the 2-minute period, maybe early in the team period, when Clyde caught a pass out in the flat, and you came up to make a play, and he kind of made a little move on you. Where does that move rank in terms of good moves you've seen in the open field over the years? And who's the best back in that situation you've ever played against, that one-on-one in the open field?
Yeah, to take you back to the play, it was 2 minutes, and it was a perfect play for his position, having the tight end in line, and I kind of got rubbed by the tight end going vertical, and I had to work over the top, which is hard, and then making a play on a guy like that in space makes it even harder. But it's a good play and a good setup for him. And he made a quick move. It's smart because it was a 2-minute situation, and he got all the yards, and he didn't have to get out of bounds. So he knew, and he was thinking of the situation. So he cut back across the field, and we eventually got him down, and they kick a field goal. But yeah, he's one of the better players in this league, and will be one of the better players in this league at making people miss in open space. And if I had to pick one guy when I was younger, early in the league, it'd probably be Shady when he was in Philly. He was one of the shiftiest players in the open field.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Anthony, as one of the leaders in the defensive room and certainly the linebacker room, I was curious about actually a fellow Iowa guy in Ben Neiman entering his third year, first few padded practices. What have you seen in Neiman that maybe makes you believe that he could be in line for even a bigger role in the defense this year?
Yeah, he's improving every day. He's smart. He knows the defense. He knows multiple positions. Yeah, I mean, he has the opportunity, and he's taking advantage of it right now. He's making plays all over in camp. He had a pick 6 today in camp, making some TFL. So, yeah, he's just been in his books, studying, and he's growing as a player. He's still young, only going into year 3, but he's making a huge jump this year already.
Let's go to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Hitch, what's going on, man? Hey, quick question for you. Willie Gay, how much has it just been more for him still learning, or how have you seen him when it goes full speed? What is your assessment so far of how he's been able to kind of get out there in the field and maneuver around, learning different things, and also trying to go full speed at the same time?
Yeah, he's learning a lot, quick, putting a couple different positions on his plate, just playing the Sam and base and the buck will kind of slashing sub defense. But so he's learning a lot. He's moving fast. We call him turbo. Sometimes he moves too fast. But yeah, he's he's learning, and we all teaching him and teaching him the ropes, and he's coming along well. I mean, if you guys have been watching practice, he's making plays, and as long as we can keep having him do that, I think he can make our defense a lot better.
Let's go to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Hitch, a couple of real quick ones for you. One, what was your reaction to seeing Juan Thornhill back for the first time in a long time? And then secondly, what are you guys doing, or I guess what's sort of the feel as far as maintaining the edge that sort of prompted you guys to win the Super Bowl last year, just mentally?
Yeah, it was definitely good to see Juan back out there. You can see him, he's smiling from ear to ear. He finally get to move around with us and stuff like that. And, kudos to him for putting in all the work and getting back here, not even, a full year from removed from the injury. So, good for our training staff and Juan putting in all the work, while everybody else had an off season while he was still grinding. So good things happen to good people that work hard, and, he's moving forward, and looking forward to having him back out there, soon. And what was your second part?
Just on the edge. I mean, last year it seemed like you guys had an edge to try and, get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl and win it. Are you sensing that you guys still have that this year? And what's it's going to take to maintain that throughout the year this year?
Oh, yeah. Every year we just start back at ground zero. So it's a whole new edge to do it again. And again and again and again. There's only one goal when you're playing at this level, and that's to win the Super Bowl. So anything else, it's not acceptable. So every year you just restart and then try it again. So that's how your edge, you have a new edge every year. So you restart all over, and the edge is to get back there again.
All right, we've got time for a couple more. Let's go Darren and then Nate. Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, Hitchens, thank you so very much for doing this. My question for you is, what advice are you able to give the rookies and first-year players who are trying to make the team, make the defense? Obviously, you want them to go all out, but obviously, they can't also, lay wood on Travis Kelce or someone coming across the middle. So what do you, how do you advise them to bridge, between, trying to make a name for themselves without, putting a player out?
Yeah, I don't think you make the team by hitting your own teammates and knocking players out of practice and stuff. So what I just teach the guys, our young guys in our room, is just learn the playbook. You got to build that trust for your coach. Your coach got to trust you in order to put you out there on the field, because wherever you present, you're presenting you and your coach, not just yourself. So what I teach the young guys is learn your plays, get in your book. So when you get out there, you know what to do. And then you can get coached on technique and what you're supposed to do on this play. But as long as you get lined up and know your job, you can build that trust in your position coach and the defensive coordinator.
Let's go to Nate for the last one. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Anthony, two questions for you. The first is, so many of you guys have obviously given the team praise for how they've set up this training camp to keep everybody safe. Just what is your reaction to the idea of fans being able to watch you guys in person to some capacity to start this season? And then secondly, Spags mentioned it earlier, but the idea of, Bashaud Breeland having a suspension to start the year, just as a leader on the defense, guys still play at a high level despite losing somebody who was obviously key to your guys' success last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's next guy in. Coach Reid talks about it all the time. That's the mentality we have, and we're gonna build around. I'm sure we probably have different types of calls, just because it's probably gonna be a younger type guy in there. And I mean, we're all playing at a high level, and we have these practices, and they're finding different guys to rotate, and it's gonna take more than just one guy playing at that position. We got to play better, as a team. We just can't rely on one position. And I think we've been doing that all this camp. You see different guys making plays and different guys making checks and stuff like that. So we just got to pick each other up when, we lose a guy or two.
Nate, did you have a part two there? You cut out a little bit on us.
Yeah, sorry. And then I think the first thing I asked you was, because the camp has gone so well from a health standpoint for the players and everybody on staff, what's your reaction to having some level of fans be able to watch you guys for the season opener if all goes well on that end?
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing that the Chiefs put together a great format for us with the families being able to come and some of the fans and the way we practice and the way we're separating and working our social distancing. So I can't speak for every team and organization, but I know we're doing it the right way here, and I think everything should pan out as long as everyone just keep doing their responsibilities of being safe.